and then get in at these points. Did I miss some profits here? Sure. But did I lose anything? Nope. So you can do the math. Like, you're going to make more money by missing profits, but protecting your capital. Everybody that was kind of saying all these things, and they're using these links of time and between bull runs and bear markets and bull runs and bear markets. They were all saying like, oh well, yeah, it's going to be September 29th around there, and we're going to get to I can't remember, was it 189 or 289,000. And if you were to trace all the bull runs and bear markets backwards in time, like, that lines up. But look what happened.
And
So
I know I was following quite a lot of them on YouTube that were all saying 200K,
yeah,
200K.
yeah, I think it was 289 was supposed to be the top, and it was supposed to happen in like September or something. Well, I always knew that was nonsense. And Ethereum was supposed to hit 20 something thousand or whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's never going to happen. You can look at, they'll do the whole percentage thing. Well, like, oh, well, it went up, from here to here, it went up 1,863%. So that's what it's going to do here. It's going to go up 1,863%. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it didn't even remotely do that. I'm not obviously snapping it on accurately, but um, as the asset like appreciates and gains more, value, it's harder to double. You know what I mean? Like, if an asset is, worth $1 million, it's a lot easier to double a $1 million asset to 2 million than it is $100 million asset to 200 million. It's going to take a lot more money, a lot more people, and a lot more enthusiasm, a lot more faith to do that thing. So you can't expect the same thing to happen over here that happened back here. Like in this area, like back here, and like towards the beginning, and this is only going back to like 2017, but from like right here, like this little run up, like 79%. Like, we can't expect this length of time and this move up to happen in the same length of time up. You know what I'm saying? Because if you kept following that measure, like, what happens when you get here? Well, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not that simple. If it was, then literally everybody would be just billionaires. You know what I mean? Like, the things change. Like, freaking all the stuff that happens. Like, a war breaks out, on the being on the brink of World War III. There's just so many variables, man. So the time aspect is. I've come to the conclusion. I may be wrong, but I just do not think you can predict times. I think you can make an estimate or a guess, but I don't think that it should be done by what happened back here, because the things that were happening in the world back here are not the same things that were happening over here. Does that make sense?
It does. I mean, I've heard them say, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes. But I mean, as you say, there's so many variables and so many different
Yeah.
things.
Well, like last year's or last bull run did not rhyme with anything. You know what I mean? Like, you can draw correlations to things like, oh, well, okay, well, it started at a happening and blah blah blah. But I mean, if it's not a predictable thing, like, what good is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying don't look at it. I'm just saying, like, I've made that mistake of putting my faith in like the whole time and what happened in the past, and well, maybe it's not the same, but it rhymes and blah blah blah. And it lost me money the first go around. You know what I mean? I learned my lesson first time, and I was like, yep, nope,
Yeah,
won't be doing
happens.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that was like literally that was right here. You know what I mean? And I could have sold here, and then it did this, and I was like, shit. I had to watch, a ton of money for me get cut in half like so fast. And then I was like, well, that won't happen again. And I was selling from here up and then from there to there. And I sold everything I had, just about 90% of it from right in this area. Because I learned from this right here, and that was all listening to idiots of like, oh, it's going to come down to blah blah blah, 289,000 by September, blah blah blah, and I was like, yes, yeah, all right, well, maybe they know more than me, but I learned from that, like, so be careful about the time aspect.
Okay.
Because it'll get you, because if you were to use the time aspect, you would have, like, how many times would you have been putting back in, you know what I'm saying, and then losing, or buying and then be like, oh, we're due for a pullback and blah 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 here, like all these people that bought here, there's so many people bought here, we had these like little pullback on like a 4 hour daily right here, and people were buying, and then like look what happened, they lost all of it, you know what I mean, so many people lost so much money, so it's just dangerous, but let's as far as like a bottom, let me go, let's see, what chart am I on, this one main, let me see, demo, can't remember if I have anything on my demo or not. Yeah, okay, I got some stuff on this one. I still kind of stand by this. Not kind of. I still stand by this for the most part. I think that this area, I can get rid of this little bubble. I still think that this area here is like, this is where we really are ultimately going to head. And it could 100% end up like easily right in here. So if I get rid of this, like, this is a extremely likely place that we would head, I would say. Yeah, I would say, yeah, anywhere from there to there. Yeah, this one. So like anywhere from, I'll turn that one. Turn these two like yellow. So like those two yellow lines right there, like that's really likely that we end up somewhere in between those. And like, what is in between those two if we measure from those? So the middle of those is around, looks like 9,000. Yeah, around 9,000. Yeah, that's a likely area. These here that I already had, this is likely, that's a lower time frame, maybe higher. Yeah, so essentially it would be this. To simplify it, that would be that. So like that's a very likely area. More than likely, like that's where we're coming down to. Now, does that mean that that's going to be the bottom? No, of course not. But I think this level here, it could very well be what provides us a big bounce minimally. That 10,000. This is the XPT chart, so like it's not for exchange, X or whatever per se. but pretty easily translatable into whatever chart. Um, just kind of thinking here. Yeah, see, like that candle there, like that lines up with that yellow one.
So it's more or less on the 50%, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, what do we got here? So we got 19 days until this candle closes. If it closes below like this point, I'd like to see like the Brave. Before I would say that, I would like to see the Brave New Coin Index, but uh, let's just pull it from here. This will kind of be fractal. So probably be like 6 month, maybe. Okay, we can call it a monthly. It's a monthly and a 6 month too, though. So this is a monthly and a 6 month candle low, and then that's the all-time high. Okay, so on the monthly, it's already closed below, which is probably why it failed to get any higher than this or even wick past it, because that was a really big failure point. You can even see where these, sell to buy wicks right here. That happened right there. Um, so what is between this and this? That's the EQ of that, which again, this is pointing to that around that yellow line. Now, let's look at this. Like, see that blue candle right there? Let me just delete those for a second. Yeah, that area right there, I think will minimally cause a really decent sized bounce. Yeah, it'll ultimately probably bring it back up to this area. You know what I mean? Um, and then I think a strong likelihood for a bottom is, you know, it's difficult. Let me see. Let me look at the weekly. I I say that these two these two levels right here could end up ultimately being like the bottom. If it comes down to this, it won't be for long. This will be like a kind of a sweep where it comes down and it'll settle into the area that I said before, which was right around here, I think this is ultimately where we'll settle in at is, right. I say we will end up settling. Let me see. Let me look at this one. Yeah, could do that. So I would say like the safe bet to say where we would settle is in here. Obviously that's a big span. That's 98 to 13.8. Um, and the highest likelihood is between this level here, the EQ, and then this one. And then I say that these two levels, you know, maybe as low as that, but I think that one's more likely for a sweep. And then that could indicate like that would be the bottom in my mind. Now, you know, obviously a lot of this is far away and there's a lot of things that are dependent upon it, but just as I see things now, like and looking at them, like those are the most likely spots for me in my mind at this point in time. There's 100 million trades to take in between there, of course. I'm just talking macro perspective.
Sure.
But
I mean, for investors, that's what they're looking for, isn't it? They're
Yeah,
looking for the
yeah.
bottom. I
Hmm.
mean, you'd be dollar cost averaging in, wouldn't you, on the way down from
Hmm.
14, anything below 14.
Yeah. Well, I would personally wait until, depending upon how much money you had, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I would still wait for no matter what. I wouldn't be like I wouldn't be buying down. I think buying down is dumb. I'd rather like wait to see the bottom and then wait for it to show me a sign that it's turning around and moving up. You know what I mean? And then wait for the pullback. So like just for instance, like the whole buying down thing, like dollar cost averaging down, like if you don't like know how to read charts or you don't care to learn or whatever, like that's all well and good. Of course, not everybody wants to spend 1,000 hours trying to learn stuff, minimally, like this. But
Just on a side
it's
note, though, you'll be covering this, won't you, week to week as it happens for anyone wishing to subscribe.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So like instead of like, if I was an investor and just strictly looking at it from an investor standpoint, I wouldn't be, like if in my mind I was like, okay, well, I think we're close to the bottom. Like that's kind of a scarcity mentality, thinking of it that way. And it's also a mentality of like, well, I don't really know where the bottom is, or I don't know how to tell when the bottom is in. So I'm just gonna start guessing. And I'm gonna hope that I have enough money to continually guess and I don't run out before I'm completely and utterly wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because like if I'm doing this and I'm coming down, I'm like, oh, I'm out of money. And then it's like, boom, it's like, man, I lost a ton of money. Right. Whereas if I just wait and I wait for it to do that and it just comes down and then it dumps and then I see it come up, do that, and then it comes up and it starts taking these things out. Once I see it take out the things that I need to, I can wait for it to come back down and hit a low and then get in at these points. Did I miss some profits here? Sure. But did I lose anything? Nope. So you can do the math. Like you're going to make more money by missing profits, but protecting your capital from an investment standpoint. You know what I mean? But that's the great thing about like being a trader. It's like, well, I'll sell this, buy this, sell this, buy this, sell this, buy this, so on and so forth, and just do everything in between. So it just depends on what your goals are. Is really the way in which you want to look at it. But being worried about missing profits is freaking dangerous, man. Like that's really just only gonna 90+% of the times. I mean, that's why such a small percentage of people make money and a large majority lose money. It's because of that mentality. Uh, and that's the whole psychology aspect of it, I suppose, Don't be afraid of not making something. Like protect your money. It's better to lose out on a profit than it is to sustain, like, incur a loss.